In the capital of a young Korean kingdom, the prisons were full, so the state built more temporary jails for the overflow. In the traditional account, slaves informed on masters, sons denounced fathers. By one bitter tally of some 3,200 men who helped found the dynasty, about 40 were left standing. Now the strange part. The same king had freed great numbers of enslaved people, and created an examination that would outlive every kingdom on this peninsula. One reign, both facts. This episode is how they fit together. Last episode ended under a bridge. 50 camels, a founder's answer to the empire that destroyed Balhae. A year later, in 943, the founder died. Wang Geon left Korea's most dangerous inheritance, 29 wives, one from nearly every castle lord clan of the Civil War, and some 25 sons, each backed by his mother's armed kin. He had built a kingdom out of marriages. Our question: can anyone turn that kingdom into a state before the family tears it apart? Watch the weapons. The decisive ones are made of paper. Look at the machine. Each marriage had bought a region's loyalty. How a civil war ends without another war. But each son was now a claim, and no rule of succession was stronger than the clans. This is not a Korean peculiarity. It is any court where many mothers back many princes. The founder's genius had a second face, a time bomb wired to his funeral. The heir was Wanggyu, King Haijong, eldest son born in Naju, last episode's port, a soldier proven at the river in 936. But courage was no longer the currency, mothers were, and his mother's family was minor. His father dared not announce him openly. Tradition says he hid a royal robe in an old chest, sent to the boy's mother. One general read the signal. Even his birth legend, folklore not fact, whispers of a lowborn mother and a reluctant father. This king was never meant to be strong. Against him, two half-brothers, Wanggyu and Wang Geon, sons of a mighty in-law clan, allied with a kinsman of the founder commanding the garrison at Jeongjong, the rebuilt Pyongyang, and circling them all, the magnate Wanggyu, twice a royal father-in-law, a founder's grandson in his nursery. Within 2 years, assassins entered the king's bedchamber. Twice. The record says Haijong woke and beat one to death with his bare fist. He survived the knives. He did not survive the rain. In 945, Haijong sickened and died. The record does not say of what. Behind the Jeongjong army, Wanggyu entered the capital and took the throne. King Jeongjong. Wanggyu was exiled and killed with some 300 followers by the chronicle's count, branded a rebel plotting for his infant grandson. The dead king's protector fell with them. That is the official story, written by the side that won. Historians notice the strain. An infant could not leap over grown princes, and every man destroyed stood closest to the dead king. Some read the rescue itself as the coup. It cannot be proven. We only know who took the throne. A throne taken with borrowed soldiers must keep borrowing. Jeongjong leaned on Jeongjong, even tried to move the capital there. The old Goryeo city his father rebuilt. Its forced labor bred resentment. Then a warning arrived from a Goryeo man held among the Khitan, the empire from the bridge. Invasion was coming. He raised a reserve host, traditionally numbered at 300,000, knitting the lord's private soldiers into one national force. The invasion did not come, not yet. Tradition tells his end. A thunderclap during a court ceremony. The young king fell ill and never recovered. In 949, dying at about 26, he passed over his infant son for his full brother. 2 kings in 6 years, both dead before 30. Now came the 4th king, the brother who had watched all of it. Wang Geon took the throne as King Gwangjong in his mid-20s. For 7 years he did almost nothing sudden. Years even a critic of his methods would later call worthy of the ancient sages. His brother's reigns had taught him one cold thing. The throne would never be safe while the great clans kept private armies. And private armies ran on the enslaved, war captives laboring and fighting for lords paying nothing to the state. So he attacked the foundation. In 956 came the Slave Review Act. Anyone wrongfully enslaved, people seized in the wars or bound over debts, was restored to commoner status. Picture a ledger read out. A person walking out of a lord's gate, free. Each judgment did double work. One fewer laborer and soldier for a magnate, one more taxpayer for the crown. Mercy, it was policy aimed at the baron's power base. It was also, for a great many people, freedom. Both are true. The old families were furious. War won property walking free. They banked that grievance, remember it. Gwangjong needed something harder to reverse. Officials who owed nothing to the clans and everything to the throne. The answer arrived by accident. A visitor from China got sick. His name was Sang Ji. He came with an embassy from later Zhou, one of China's short-lived dynasties, fell ill and stayed. In him Gwangjong found his blueprint. In 958, Goryeo held the first civil service examination in Korean history, Confucian learning and policy, office by ability, not birth, not a father's sword. The stranded foreigner served as chief examiner. Mark this quiet scene, a hall brushes paper. That examination would run for more than 9 centuries until 1894. He made the order visible. In 960, every official was robed by rank, purple, red, scarlet, green, a court legible at a glance, arranged around the king. Then he named what he was building, the style of an emperor, his own era names, time itself counted by Goryeo's reign, and Kaesong, the imperial capital, tribute forms with Chinese courts were the era's diplomatic grammar. The era names are what the state said of itself. And in that same year 960, a minor official accused 2 senior men of plotting treason. It could have passed as a court scare. Instead, it opened a door that would not close for 15 years. In the traditional account, what followed was a cascade. Denunciation became a career. The prisons overflowed until temporary jails went up. The image we opened on. The purges consumed founding companions, officials, even royal kin. He is said to have kept even his son at a distance. The famous tally comes from a critic years later. Of some 3,200 founding men, about 40 remained. Rhetoric, not a census, but how survivors remembered it. Historians hold 2 readings at once, curdling distrust and centralization's last brutal phase, a crown breaking a class it could not control. Hold both, the sources force us to. Gwangjong died in 975, after 26 years, the longest reign this episode will see, leaving a centralized monarchy, a scarred elite and 1 son. That son, King Jeongjong, was about 20, inheriting a court of survivors. His first acts were release, exiles recalled, prisoners freed, the records of the condemned wiped clean. Then mercy too far. He made it lawful for families of the purged to take revenge on those responsible. It was meant as justice. No limits were written into it. Within months, people were being struck down in the street, and the killers simply called it revenge. Then the most powerful minister used the license to murder princes of the blood, sons of the founder Wang Geon, uncles of the reigning king. That broke it. In late 976, Jeongjong exiled the minister, abolished the law, punished its killers, and split the chief minister's office in 2, so no one could hold that much power again. A kingdom learning at cost the difference between justice and license. That same winter came a decree with no blood in it. The Jeonsigwa, every official, graded by rank, received not land but the right to collect the tax from allotted land, income issued by the state, tied to office, returnable. Elite prosperity was bolted to the bureaucracy. Revised, the system ran 4 centuries. Tradition calls Jeongjong an idle king of banquets and board games. A later verdict, his institutions say otherwise. In 981 he died, about 26, passing over his infant son for a grown cousin whose temple name says what came next. Jeongjong, roughly the completer. The new king, about 21, did something almost unprecedented. Officials of the 5th rank and above were ordered to submit sealed critiques of government. A throne requesting criticism. The fullest answer came from a man of 55. Cho Sung-no had entered this story as a child of the surrender, 8 years old when the last king of Silla signed his kingdom over. Episode 8's a signature. The Goryeo records that at 12 he read Confucius aloud to Wang Geon. He had served 5 kings, kept his head down through the terror and watched. Now he wrote it down. In 982 he submitted 2 documents in one. The first graded 5 dead kings for the living one. Praise for the founder. For Gwangjong the double verdict. First 8 years worthy of the ancient ideal, the later years, terror. Yes, the purge tally from our cold open is his. The second laid out 28 points. Rest the people. Curb the cost of state Buddhist festivals honoring the faith itself. Buddhism, he wrote, cultivates the self. Governing the state is the task of today. Send royal governors. A ruler cannot visit every household. Adopt China's learning, keep Korea's customs. 22 survive. The other 6 are thought to have burned in a war still a generation away. Jeongjong turned the memorial into a state. In 983, royal governors rode out to 12 provincial seats. For the first time since the founding, the king's own officials stood in the provinces, the castle lord's heirs now clerks beneath them. Granaries opened against famine. Each spring the king himself plowed a sacred furrow, a sermon in gesture. In 992 came the Gwangjong, a national academy to feed the examinations. 60 years earlier this was a warlord's country. Now the warlord's grandsons were studying for exams. Back to where we started. The overflowing jails and the examination hall, both true. What turned a family into a state? Not blood. Blood nearly destroyed it. an assassin in the bedchamber, a borrowed army in the capital, a law of revenge in the streets. What held was paper, a review of who was enslaved and who was free, an examination, a land-grade ledger, 28 adopted points. The exam alone ran until 1894. Defeated and then rebuilt, nothing fell this time but a way of ruling. What rose was the Korean state itself, finished just in time. The empire that starved 50 camels under a bridge had not forgotten. In 993 it came to the door. Next time, what the empire demanded and what the answer cost. This was episode 9 of Untold Korea. Subscribe.